Hey Musto, sorry we can't be with you guys this weekend to watch the documentary. We're training here in Newport. That said, we appreciate all the support. We hope you guys watch closely and come up with some good questions for Simon Fisher this weekend. So we will catch you when we're back to Europe. Thanks a lot. It's something that gets in your blood, into your DNA. It's a way of life. It's a very tough place to live.
One of the things about sailing is there's so much variety, there's so many different things you can do.
On navigue sur les plus beaux bateaux qui existent sur la planète.
On navigue quand même sur des bateaux très exigeants aujourd'hui.
When it's going right, there's nothing like it.
This is a very dangerous sport, it's a very extreme sport.
You'll never see a group of people work as hard as the 11th Hour Racing team.
Great work.
Welcome to the city of Le Havre and the region of Normandy for the 2021 edition of the TJV, the Transat Jacques Vabre, one of the iconic transatlantic races in the sport of sailing.
My name is Mark Towell. I'm the CEO of 11th Hour Racing Team and co-founder with Charlie Enright.
I am Charlie Enright and I am the skipper. The 11th Hour Racing Team is an offshore racing team with the goal of winning the Ocean Race.
The Ocean Race is the world's premier crewed around the world sailing race. It's been around for the better part of 45 years. And for many of us who grew up sailing and watching this race from afar, it's been a lifelong dream. To have sailed around the world twice now, to be focused on our third campaign, it's truly a dream come true.
It is the epitome of team sport. It's 24 hours a day, it's 7 days a week, it's nonstop. Really tests you as a competitor, but also as an adventurer. At the end of the 17-18 Volvo Ocean Race, they announced that the next edition was going to be in the IMOCA 60. Knowing that we wanted to do that edition of the race, we jumped right into the IMOCA 60 class. Even though the I in IMOCA stands for international, it's a very French-centric class centered around Brittany, essentially, the northwest corner of France. It's a lot more complex. We've grown as sailors and as a team, and it's a challenge that we welcome, and we've felt the need to immerse ourselves in the IMOCA culture, which is why we're here in France today and have been for the better part of 3 years now. It's definitely a different chapter, for sure.
When we formed this team in 2019, we had a really big decision to make, and that was, should we build a new boat or should we use an existing boat?
And the first step for us was acquiring an IMOCA 60, a used one that was turnkey, ready to go, so that we could learn our class and prepare for the build of a new boat.
The impact of COVID has been felt obviously throughout the world, and our tiny little sailing world is not immune to that.
Roughly every 4 years, the most seasoned offshore sailors circumnavigate the world in the Ocean Race. The 2020 edition was postponed due to COVID-19.
The start date's been delayed. It's allowed teams to have more time to prepare, and really we had this additional year of 2021 in the schedule. We sat down with 11th Hour Racing, our title sponsor, and said, how can we maximize this opportunity? What came out of those discussions was to stay close to the IMOCA circuit, and the big race was the Transat Jacques Vabre. We also had the potential to have two boats, which has never really been done before in the modern era of foiling IMOCA boats.
know, we opened this shed for 18 months and then one day you leave it. So it's a big deal for us.
It's a real tribute to all the hard work and dedication and the effort that's gone into this boat in the last year. So it's really cool to see it all come together.
Beautiful morning to put the boat in the water. Rig's about to go in, and hopefully we can get the pull down test done by the end of the day. So it's exciting. It's been a long time coming and a lot of hard work. So it's a big day for the team. Push the coil, reverse, out of here. Winner.
We want to stick to this, we want to take it slow and make sure we get through the list for the day and then get the boat tied back up.
Awesome first day on the boat. I think smiles all around, sun's out, flat water, 10 to 14 knots. Couldn't ask for much more. There was enough going on that I think the time frame was probably about right. A couple little issues, but nothing major. Starting at a pretty good spot.
At the end, it was a smiling day because we tried a little bit max extension of the foil, boat flying mode for the first day, high speed. Plenty of things nice about, I think, performance, a good feeling on board. So yes, really, we come back with a little smile in the corner here. You see what I mean? So it's good first day.
We went sailing. Nothing broke. It's pretty good. So nice work. I think by way of a plan, 3 o'clock, 20 minutes upstairs.
Port side, starboard, project doesn't work. The release is pretty slow.
It's angled to go out.
Yeah, it needs to rotate.
It needs to rotate.
Yeah.
Starboard tack.
-1.
Yes.
When we arrive to start flying and reaching, the speed of the early flight.
On proper upwind from this market where it hits.
I'm good, mate. Just watch 3-1-7. Yeah. The second time we went sailing, we had a couple issues. The major one being the bowsprit broke. It was a loud bang. I saw the front sail balloon up into the air. So it was pretty clear something was wrong. And then, as we got out of the cockpit and slid forward, it was clear it was the bowsprit and the bobstay, all the associated rigging. It was surprising. Certainly nobody expected that. It was a big blow to the commissioning process, the sea trials. Took a valuable week off the water.
I grew up in Hawaii, so it's with great pleasure that today we named both of the boats Hawaiian names. 11-1, as it was formerly called, has been named Alakai, which means leadership in Hawaiian, and from our perspective, that is very much in line with the ethos of the team. We're trying to be leaders in the marine sector, and in particular, trying to shift the way that things are done. And that goes hand in hand with the name for 11-2, which is Malama, which means literally to take care for. But it really embodies what the team is all about. We're trying to be good ocean stewards and advocates for ocean health, and so from our perspective, it's really important that we take care of our planet and our ocean, and that's why the name Malama will carry on with our new boat.
We can work to find local solutions to the global problems that are threatening all of us in the future of our world. That's kind of what brought us here today.
The main purpose of 11th Hour Racing is to share and broadcast the importance of ocean health and sustainability and stewardship. The team is really the billboard to share ideas that are held as truths in the scientific community, that our oceans are under threat. Most of that is caused by human activity, and that we collectively as a global society have a responsibility to work on solutions together.
Sustainability is at the core of all of our operations, and our goal is to work with the sailing community and the marine industry to restore ocean health, essentially leave the planet a better place than we found it.
Charlie et Marc cherchaient quelque part des partenariats à créer avec le monde de la course au large française qui possédait une expertise évidente et réelle en IMOCA. C'est hyper intéressant de voir comment une équipe anglo-saxonne s'organise autour d'un projet comme celui-là. Je trouvais ça aussi très intéressant, moi à titre personnel, de s'associer avec une marque comme 11 Hour Racing. Je suis redevenu assez rapidement ambassadeur, donc il y avait aussi quelque chose, il y avait du sens en fait dans la passerelle qu'on crée entre quelque part ces deux mondes pour essayer de les accompagner dans la conception de leur nouveau bateau.
If we want to improve, we have to measure. And a big part of what we did was to try to create a baseline, not only for our team, but to provide to other teams so that we can improve down the road. We've done a lot of work in making suggestions for how we can do that by using alternative materials, engaging our stakeholders. Because we worked hand in hand with the IMOCA class organization, we were able to implement 5 sustainability-focused rules to incentivize teams to take these bold steps and to help move the industry, not only here in Brittany, but hopefully around the world, forward. So on Alakai, we had Simon Fisher and Justine Matreau. Sailed around the world once with Simon Fisher. He's a very intelligent, skilled sailor, real all-around talent. And I think the same could be said for Justine.
Juju's a fantastic sailor. She's really, really good, very tenacious, a very driven sailor with a lot of experience of single-hand in sailing. So I think it's, our sort of partnerships work quite well.
And it wasn't surprising to see them find success early in their first shorthanded race to get 3rd in the Fastnet. On board the new ship, we had myself and Pascal Badigary. In 2019, Pascal and I were somewhat unproven as a tandem, but the boat that we were sailing was quite proven and reliable. And now it's quite the opposite. You know, Pascal and I have done a lot of miles together, proved that we work well together and that we can be competitive. And now we have a new boat that doesn't have a lot of miles under it, so it's a little bit of a role reversal.
Et Charlie, on s'est quand même côtoyé sur 2 éditions de la Volo. On se retrouve tout simplement, dans les mêmes objectifs de sport. Pas avec la même histoire, pas avec la même culture, mais je pense que ça fait sûrement partie de notre richesse aussi.
The Defi Azimut is essentially a warm-up event. It consists of 3 different parts: the speed trials, 48-hour offshore, and a race around Ile de Gras, which is a small island off of Lorient. The 48-hour challenge is the main event of the Defi Azimut. It's a 600-mile nautical race. It gives people an idea of how either the TJV or the Route du Rhum or the Vendée Globe may play out.
Juju, trim and pit kind of stuff, if you want to do more of the bow area.
Yeah. To be in the maritime epicenter of France with one of the cooler programs and projects on the dock with 2 IMOCAs is a really cool feeling, and one that we don't take for granted and one that we don't take lightly. We're going out for the first time on this boat overnight, crossing the front. Could be some pretty tricky conditions.
C'est la partie principale du Defi Azimut, et avec Sci-Fi on a vraiment envie de continuer à progresser, de continuer à naviguer comme on l'a fait jusqu'à maintenant. Et puis on va avoir des conditions qui vont être plutôt molles au début, la première nuit, et puis après ça va se renforcer avec un passage de front. Donc ça va être intéressant aussi de pouvoir de nouveau faire un peu du reaching et du portant dans des conditions assez fortes. Et ça aussi, ça va nous faire un bon entraînement encore pour la Jacques Vabre, pour penser comment va avoir forcément beaucoup de jours de portant avec un peu d'air.
You go to the Creek on the run.
Yeah, no, mais...
The performance, I think, is obvious. I think it will come. I think the boat showed a lot of promise, and now we have to figure out how to sail it competitively and reliably. So that'll be the goal in this 48-hour period.
Tacking in 3, 2, 1.
I think we are kind of underdogs in a lot of ways. We've got an older boat than some of the front runners, but we have got new foils and we do know our boat very well, so that sort of gives us a good competitive position, I think. We've never really focused too much on the end result. We've always tried to go out there, do each bit on the boat well, try and smell smart tactically, try and sail fast, try and enjoy the sailing and try and always keep learning, and we've always said if we can do all that right, then hopefully the result will take care of itself.
There is something strange with the rudder. Huh?
Yes.
It's not a problem of pilot.
The rudder.
It's a problem, the two rudder I like that, so it's not a problem of pilot.
The 48-hour didn't go as planned. We broke the tiller bars as kind of the sunset on what would have been our first night on the boat, period. The carbon tiller bars in the back broke. It might hold, but it could also cause a lot more damage.
It's really pity not to have this bar here on board, you know. The bar is on a container. It's crazy.
Well, then let's turn around. Next, we'll just call those guys. I think the repair was okay, but there's something else afoot. Maybe it'll be early morning, so like I'm guessing 6 or something.
Tout fonctionne quoi, la quille, les foils, les ballasts, enfin, le mât. Donc là c'est un peu dommageable pour cette histoire de transmission de barre. On va se remettre au travail dès maintenant avec toute l'équipe. Faire les quelques bricoles qu'il y a à faire sur le bateau et puis continuer à préparer le bateau.
We know it was gonna be like this, and yeah, forecast was pretty right. So at the moment we're downwind in a bit more than 20 knots, sometimes 25, a bit more. So it's good. We have a few rally just in our back, and Arkea heading down just in front of us. So it's good to be in that group, and we try to make the most of the rest of the week. Quite a lot happening tonight and this morning. Really tired with Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi is recovering at the moment, and it's gonna be my turn soon.
The Amokas are very different from probably the boats we've raced around the world in previously. Now we've evolved to these very enclosed cockpits. You're covered up, you can't really see where you're going, you have to rely on the autopilot to steer a lot. It's a very different experience. It's quite nice not getting beaten up by the waves every 10 seconds. But there's other things that make it more uncomfortable, I guess, with the foils and the speeds we can do. The slamming is something else, you know. In conditions where you wouldn't normally be slamming on a more conventional boat, it can be quite uncomfortable on the 60. And there's no respite, it just goes on and on and on. So yeah, if you're down there trying to sleep, sometimes it's impossible.
Finally!
From one. That's us.
Good job, I think.
GG. Great work. Brilliant.
Really happy to confirm the good race we did already in the Fastnet, and today it was on this race it was different conditions. We didn't race perfectly, but I think Apivia raced a bit better than us, but it was good. I think it was a tough race for everyone. A lot of maneuvers, a lot of sail changes, of reefing and so on. So we'll sleep well tonight with Sci-Fi.
The 48-hour race was really tough, but we got a great result, so really happy about that. It was a real mix of conditions, really good preparation for the TJV that's coming up, and it was pretty exhausting, but we're really satisfied to come away with the second.
Both Pascal and myself are certainly frustrated that we don't have more time on the boat. People express their frustration certainly in different ways, and at some point you have to just realize that things aren't going to be perfect.
Can I sit next to you? Or on the beanbag?
The bag is good.
Sailing is a challenging profession because you have your family or friends or your loved ones at home, you travel a lot, you are out there with your team, which feels also like a family. Normal professions, we work all day with colleagues or clients. At the end of the day, you can leave and shut the door and go to your other life. It helps you to put things that happen during the day in perspective. The nice thing about this team is those people really want to dive in deep with themselves and really want to reach out to each other. So there is a lot of potential, and we made huge steps.
The Transat Jacques Vabre is a double-handed event that happens every other year. It's based on the traditional coffee trade, and it goes from Le Havre in the English Channel in France. Then you have to cross the Bay of Biscay, and then you have to navigate the trade winds, and in a good year make their way all the way down to the doldrums. And then you have to navigate the doldrums, going into the doldrums, coming out of the doldrums, and then you kind of get back into the southern hemisphere trades and make your way down to, in this case, our turning mark, which was Fernando de Noronha, and then back up in the Caribbean trades to Martinique. And in 21, there were 4 classes of boats. The goal was to have us all start together, sail different distances based on the speed of these particular boats, and have us all finish it in Martinique at around the same time.
My job is just to make sure that both boats are ready to race at the end of the day. So that's liaising with all the different departments we have. It's a pretty interesting challenge, really, to run 2 boats and to get them ready for a transatlantic race. Normally, with 1 boat, you have enough work, and with 2 boats, we have even more. So it's always a bit of a challenge between sailing time on the water and the work time in order to get the boats ready for the race.
Monday morning, came to work like a lot of other people, but a big day for us. We get to go offshore essentially for the first time, definitely on our own terms. We get to test the boat's reliability, even start working on some performance stuff, so that'll be good. The list of things we're trying to accomplish is long. We're trying to figure out how to live on this boat. This will be our first, full night at sea, really, not counting the Azimut, which didn't end as we'd planned.
On va essayer de rester pas mal de temps en mer pour s'entraîner et puis pour faire aussi quelques milles pour avancer sur notre qualification. On va quand même avoir 3 mètres 50 de mer pendant 2-3 jours. Ça va être intéressant de voir comment tout ça se passe là, les 2-3 prochains jours, et qu'on va rentrer avec plein de belles sensations, j'espère. I'm going to come up, Charlie, on a good course.
Okay, what is 160?
You change the length of the lashing on the cumulus?
I put the strap.
Shorter?
Yeah. Wind speed?
Yeah, wind speed 27, 28 now.
Compression at the Glenarm, maybe. Boat is savage. It's not for the faint of heart. Speed potential, the acceleration, and the pushing of the coils is it's tremendous. Say standby.
Yes, standby, Charlie.
Yeah, got it.
It's standby.
Yeah, got it.
The hull is like that.
Ah, yeah.
The bullet, so everything is going inside. And I think this we have to do something different. We take one reef and after it's not working, you know.
A couple of days.
Bah écoute, il était temps, hein. Tout n'est pas réglé, hein, mais...
The boat obviously took a beating, which is good. For the first time we went out in big sea state and big breeze and we put 11.2 through its paces. A result of that obviously was we found some gremlins in the system. It's very good we found it all now and not on the start line of the TJV. Now is just the time to refocus, repair, reinforce and get back on the water as soon as possible. We qualified for the TJV and at the same time we ticked a lot of boxes.
It doesn't feel good knowing that we have 10 days of sailing between now and the TJV, and the TJV itself is an 18-day race. I mean, that makes no sense to embark on a race that will double the amount of time we have on the boat. I mean, that's sometimes where you are, but it's definitely not how you draw it up.
We're gonna train today just on our own with Sci-Fi, and we have Tanguy Le Glatin on board, who's a short-handed sailing coach. So it's gonna be a good day on the water. We'll try to work on the things we want to improve or things we still need to check. We can do a bit like this.
Yeah, I think so. Can keep both up easily when the boat is laughing a little. Up, you go out of the waves faster because you hear.
Last things we got on our list before the TJV, and just making everything's good and making little improvements here and there. So it's like there's been no big revolutions in the last week, but it's good to just get out, keep using the boat, keep on checking in on the things that we're keen to learn about still.
I think try to stay focused on the normal pilot first, and if you are happy, you can add layers and play on the layers more.
Yeah, no, that's nice. I think I like that philosophy. As opposed to like trying to turn the pilot down and let the offset do it, is kind of you can end up chasing your tail.
There's a lot that goes into the weeks leading up to an offshore event like the TJV. Physically preparing by making sure that we do get enough downtime and we get enough rest, because it's 3 action-packed weeks ahead of us. And then there's always the mental preparation. You know you're going into a big challenge and you have to prepare yourself for that and make sure you're in the right competitive mindset. There was a lot that went into the preparation, but personally, I feel confident and good.
I think we definitely have the ability to have 2 boats on the podium at the finish in Martinique for the TJV. We will do the best we can to make sure that happens. I know the sailors will do the best they can to make sure that happens. All we can do is try our best, and I think we will.
So I take another one, Charlie.
Okay. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, why
It's the 2 last day, we're not going to eat, you know, saucisson, vin rouge.
We're about 10 miles away from Le Havre, so yeah, really getting close to the big race of the year. It was actually really nice to line the 2 boats up together and go sailing together, because we really haven't had that opportunity yet. So that's been nice, and then looking forward to resting up a bit in Le Havre and doing all the preparation before heading across the Atlantic in just over a week. It's incredible to be here in Le Havre and yeah, just witness how big the race is. Really get a feeling of how much sailing means to the French and the French public. As a sailor and a fan myself, it's just incredible to see this fleet of boats.
The French sailing culture is insane. They're ravenous. They love it. I mean, it's not a beautiful part of the world in November. The village is packed with people. I don't think people from the States totally understand exactly what's going on here.
C'est plus qu'un team sportif, c'est un leader, un exemple, une voie d'inspiration pour nous. Et c'est vrai que cette partie environnementale, sustainability et tout ce que ça comporte, c'est une branche qui est essentielle de notre sport, qui va l'être de plus en plus dans les prochaines années. Et on a une chance vraiment énorme de pouvoir profiter de l'expérience, des moyens, de l'engagement de l'équipe Eleven Hour. D'avoir des catalyseurs de ce niveau dans une classe, c'est vraiment une chance énorme pour nous.
2 years ago, we came here with an eye on the new design and what this boat would eventually end up being, and kind of what you see here today is kind of the manifestation of all those decisions that have been made over the course of 2 years.
C'est extrêmement complexe de mettre à l'eau un bateau quelques mois avant le départ d'une course comme la Transat Jacques Vabre et d'être performant aussi rapidement. Il y a un gros travail de fiabilisation que nous n'avons pas fini sur le trimaran, que Charlie et Pascal n'ont pas terminé sur leur nouveau bateau. Il y a 6 ans, on avait des doutes, plein d'incertitudes, il manquait encore des appendices, il y avait plein de choses à découvrir sur le bateau. N'empêche qu'on a quand même réussi à la gagner cette course, donc c'était pas évident, c'est pas facile, c'est pas simple, mais c'est possible, on le sait, Pascal le sait, de fait toutes les équipes autour le savent et c'est bien d'avoir ça en tête. On a toujours une forme d'humilité au départ d'une course comme celle-là. Et on peut en rajouter une petite couche quand on est sur un bateau tout neuf qui reste à découvrir.
Quand je pars faire une course, c'est pour la gagner. Voilà. Maintenant, au fond de moi, je peux pas. J'ai quand même une petite voix qui me dit il va falloir finir la course. Il va falloir finir la course, il va falloir finir la course, il va falloir finir la course. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, si on est concret, on a navigué 3-4 jours avec le bateau sans trop d'ennuis. Avant ça, c'était pas le cas.
getting off the dock this morning, Amy's schedule there, that's all pretty clear.
10:32, we're on the pontoon or we're on the seawall or we're by the boats basically. So when the sailors will be there, if there's any last minute requests, there always is. We just want to be ready, stand by.
This is the big race, so every team will be bringing their A game. Some of the regattas, some boats have been missing, so it's certainly going to be the hardest race yet. And yeah, we just got to go out there and do what we do and try and sail our best. And if we do a good job, then we've got a shot at the podium. Yeah, it looks like you can do like a first ridge axis, which gets you around the corner, which is actually a bit cleaner. If you get the ridge here early, then the other ridge is probably going to be like this.
It's been a really busy week and a busy year. It's probably, from my perspective, good to get everybody together and just wish these four a really great trip. This was the biggest milestone of this year, and the fact that we have the two boats out there well prepared and ready to go.
My goal in this TJV is to get to Martinique and to maximize the amount of time that this boat has in the water. Would it surprise me if we won the event? No. Would it surprise me if we didn't finish the event? No. I really go into it with no expectation other than we're going to learn a ton.
The wind around 20 knots, gusty 22, 23, a little bit lighter, I think. So we have to decide if we start with G3 or G2. These are the first things. We are quite okay about where is the line and everything, so we are try to manage a little bit the routine before the start. You good to tack? Get ready with the keel. Thank you, guys. Safe travels.
The Transat Jacques Vabre is underway for 2021, and it looks like a pretty good start, a pretty clean start across that fleet.
Now just a little over 24 hours. It's been a pretty busy start to the race, to be honest. Fueled mainly by coffee, not much sleep. So far so good, it's been going well. Boat's in pretty good shape and we're keeping some reasonable company. We've got Corral just to leeward of us, 11-2 just to windward of us.
We're here at the corner of Brest, Ushant, TSS, no wind, lots of tide. Good to be mixing it up. Plenty of gremlins on board. We got waterproofing issues, broken stanchions, comms, nav, computer, all kinds of stuff. But we're getting through them somehow, some way. Just make sure we have enough energy to continue.
Pas une nuit facile. On n'a pas réussi à faire vraiment ce qu'on voulait avec Sci-Fi, et puis on a perdu un peu de terrain sur nos concurrents directs. On vient de retrouver Fortinet qui est juste à côté de nous.
What's happened today? The wind is coming, the wind is going. It's not really easy. So we have lost. And it's not really nice when we lost, you know? We prefer when we gain a lot.
25 miles maybe?
Yeah, something like that, I don't know. But
What else? I burnt my hand on hot water, which is not good because last time in basically the same geographic location, I burnt my leg and got a bacterial infection. So I'll probably try to do a better job taking care of that.
I got a notification in the middle of the night. Generally when that happens, it's something to do with the boat and they're not usually calling to say, hey, how's it going? Everything's great out here. So it's usually pretty alarming.
11th Hour Racing Team's Imoca Alakai is out of the Transat Jacques Vabre. Britain Simon Fisher and Justine Metro of Switzerland alerted race management this afternoon that their Imoca had dismasted just north of Cape Finisterre off the Spanish coast.
The first thing that goes through my head is everybody okay? How are Sci-Fi and Juju? Are they safe? That's always the main priority, is to make sure that the crew are safe. And the message actually came from Sci-Fi saying, hey, we're totally fine, but we dropped the mast and we're just trying to clean up the situation. Can you let race control know?
We were sailing downwind in about 20 knots of wind, just coming to the coast near A Coruña. We were just putting a reef in and then got going again, and unfortunately did a big nosedive, heard a loud banging noise, and I think it was fairly obvious from where we sat inside as to what had happened. The mast had gone down over the front of the boat. As a result of that, the boat drifted over the top of the rig, so we had a long battle to try and see if we were going to be able to get the rig back on board. That was obviously our first goal, our first aim. We were hoping we were going to be able to get it on board and save as much as the mast and sails and rigging as we could. Bitterly disappointed for ourselves and for the team, and obviously everyone following us. But yeah, sorry it came to this end.
Hearts go out to Simon and Juju, who've worked really hard all this year for this event. You can see it in their results. Tough blow for the team, but I know we'll fight on.
we are going to try to do our best also for them.
Pascal and I are out here gutting it out on this ride. You can hear it whistling in the background as we do a casual 28 knots in 16 knots of wind. Hey TJV race fans, we're coming at you live from outside on the bow. Amazing. But what that means is there's no wind. Yeah, what he's doing is he's pointing at a Cape Pepwreck. That's another yacht in this race, and they're right, I don't know if you can see them or not, but they're in the middle of a peel. Big news on board today for us is we got the A2 up in the air, the Ocean Hour. Hopefully helps us position ourselves with the ever-changing forecast. Big split in the fleet. We could have boats, what, 1,000 miles apart? Yeah. We're going to go tangle it up with the Cabo Verdes, it looks like. We got guys kind of on the west coast of Africa, so interesting to see how it all plays out. Stay tuned, and hey, give us a coffee cup salute. Au revoir.
Ciao.
Yeah, okay, you got all my weight. Okay, a little lower, please. A little lower. Okay, hold on. Good there.
Fast forward a few days later after the dismasting, and now we get another message that on board Malama they're struggling with the keel, and that they are having all this crazy vibration, and that they think there's a major issue. So in my head I'm like, oh, here we go, another major.
A little lower. Went over the side and got a look at the keel. Realized that the cosmetic trailing edge, the back third of the keel fin essentially, was gone. We can only do about 60% of polar right now. This is certainly damages all competitive aspirations, which is difficult to stomach, certainly.
The decision was to continue, but at a reduced speed, and then that had some secondary issues as well, related to fuel capacity and energy and water and all those kinds of things.
And now the new goal is to finish period. So as it stands, we're 9 days from Martinique. Quorum was the first boat to pass us, which was pretty devastating. Every time a boat passed us, it was like a stab in the heart. To finish in such a kind of uncompetitive manner was pretty difficult. I think, at the end there was a feeling of accomplishment, of never giving in, never giving up. But we don't sail to finish, we sail to win. So it was pretty tough.
Diamond Rock, a symbol of victory for Linked Out. Thomas Rouillard and Morgan Legravier enjoyed their last moments at sea along the coast of Martinique. They savoured the moment they won the IMOCA class in the Transat Jacques Vabre.
I would imagine they're probably thinking, let's get finished, have a beer, have some food, and a proper bit of sleep, and a shower. I reckon is probably top on their head.
I think we did the best we could with what we had. There were 7,000 other things that could have kept us from finishing, and this one was very unforeseen, and obviously in the end insurmountable. But we dealt with it. We're here. We're in Martinique. We finished. We got shore crew and camera people and journalists and all this stuff. We got the boat here. That was the goal. And there's something to be proud of there for sure. Silver lining.
Arriver à faire 22 jours d'affilée avec le bateau, ouais, c'est bien. Puis c'est bien d'avoir fini. C'est pour ça qu'on n'a pas abandonné, qu'on s'est pas arrêté ailleurs. C'est parce qu'il fallait quand même donner un peu de sens à ce projet qui démarre avec ce nouveau bateau. Simon et Juju n'ont pas eu cette chance-là. Donc on se devait, nous, pour toute l'équipe d'Eleven Hour Racing, d'aller jusqu'au bout. Donc c'est ce qu'on a fait. Et voilà, mais c'est juste, on a juste fait notre boulot.
When I look back at 2021, I'm incredibly proud of what we achieved. I think that we had a really ambitious goal to not only build or complete the build and launch a brand new boat, but then to do that while still continuing to operate our second boat, and then to embark on a fairly ambitious racing schedule for the second half of the year. I'm just incredibly proud of how far we came and how we dealt with the adversity that we faced. It certainly didn't end with the performance results that we wanted, but I think on the whole, when we look back, those experiences with the dismasting and the keel challenges and how we dealt with those things, those will be some of the moments that the team will feel most proud of because of the way we dealt with them.
We had to get the boat back to France. We had Sci-Fi and Juju. They ended up delivering the boat back with a couple members of the shore crew, which was, I think, a big benefit to the future of the program because they were able to acclimate, learn the boat. It's going to be our platform, our team, all together again.
The next chapter for us is to regroup and refocus. The ocean race is going to start in January of 2023. There's still so much to do in terms of preparation with the boat. We need to grow and evolve as a team and how we do things. There's much to do on the sustainability and impact side. And really we need to use this next year most effectively to train and optimize around trying to win this race.
Our friends at Musto Annapolis invited Spin Sheet, a few of our fans, and some special guests to a VIP watch party of the new documentary, Under the Hull. After the viewing, we were treated with a live Q&A session with co-skipper and navigator Simon Fisher of the 11th Hour Racing Team. Here are the highlights from that interview with our own Molly Winans.
So let's talk about that experience at your Transat Jacques Vabre experience. Looking back on it now, it's 6 months later. What's your overriding memory of it?
I guess when I look back on last year's Jacques Vabre, or I actually tend to look at the season in whole, to be honest. And yeah, we actually had a fantastic season, and it was my debut season of short-handed racing, so I was actually very, very proud of what we did with the team and the results we got, especially given it was a sort of an introduction into short-handed racing for both myself and the team. Mm-hmm. So yeah, whilst we had a difficult finish with losing the Masters and the Transatlantic overall, it was a very positive season and some great racing, so a lot of good memories.
That's great. So you sailed with Justine Métraux, one of Switzerland's top female sailors, and also a Musto ambassador. What's she like on board, and what are her strengths?
First and foremost, yeah, Justine's a great sailor. She's really good. We sailed a little bit before we on crude boats before we raced together last season, double-handed. But no, it was fantastic. We got on the boat and very quickly kind of found our rhythm, sailing just the two of us on board. And a lot of that is testament to Justine and her talent as a sailor and her experience of short-handed sailing. I've done a lot of sailing, but not much short-handed stuff. So Justine was great to sail with, because she brings so much knowledge in this short-handed stuff, and that really helped us sort of hit our stride. And get good results from the get-go.
Yeah. So this is an unscripted question, but it was one that I had just watching the film and thinking that you and Justine have very different English accents. And it must be very loud on that boat. How do you communicate? Does it get tricky sometimes?
No, luckily Justine's English is very good. Much better than my French. So we managed to communicate, and then actually I know if Justine needs to go to sleep because she stops talking in English and starts talking in French. So when she starts talking to me in French, that's when I tell her to go down and get some rest.
That's great. So you've taken part in 5 ocean races with a win under your belt. How is it to be sailing just 2 up? Is this something you would like to do more? That's great. So you've taken part in 5 ocean races with a win under your belt. How is it to be sailing just 2 up? Is this something you would like to do more of?
No, absolutely, and I really enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised that it was something I sort of took to quite well. I'd always had aspirations of doing some short-handed sailing. Mm-hmm. I have to say I haven't gone as far as having aspirations to sail single-handed, but certainly double-handed sailing is something that's always really appealed to me.
Yeah.
Having done a year of it, I'm definitely keen to do more. It's and also now we're sailing with a team, it makes it seem like a luxury. So there's a lot of positives.
Apart from the obvious, that there are fewer sailors on board, how does the setup on board change for a double-handed race like the Transat Jacques Vabre, as opposed to like the fully crewed ocean race?
Yeah, I think one of especially on a long race like the Jacques Vabre, or even on the shorter races we did, which were like 2-3 days, it's you have to be very conscious about how you're using your energy when you're short-handed. There's only 2 of you on board, and any manoeuvre takes both of you, and it can be quite hard to rest, especially when you're going fast. So I think it changes the rhythm a little bit. The nice thing is that when you are resting, you know someone else is sailing the boat when you're double-handed. So it is that little bit easier to rest compared to if you're, say, single-handed. But you have to be a bit more measured and try and plan ahead, think ahead, try and avoid any unnecessary sail changes, and make smart decisions so you don't wear yourself out unnecessarily. So I guess it's like another layer into the whole strategy and the tactics of the race that you've kind of got to think about. And if you can do it well, then it definitely helps. And I think we actually did quite well last year. We had some close finishes for races, and we did a reasonable job of sort of trying to keep ourselves fresh to the end rather than being absolutely knackered, and that definitely played into our hands on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, I can see that. So looking forward, it's just 6 months until the start of the ocean race. Where are you now, and what training are you doing?
Yeah, the start's still 6 months away, but actually it feels like it's just around the corner. And when we look at our planning, there's not actually that much time to go. You know, it's going to be a busy 6 months trying to get done everything we want to do with the boat and the team by the time we get the race start in Annapolis in January. Currently, we're a little bit north of you guys, up here in Newport, Rhode Island. The boat's been here since the beginning of June, and actually in just over a week's time, we'll be sailing back across the Atlantic to France. So another opportunity to get some real offshore miles, push the boat hard, keep learning about it, gathering a lot of data. So it's going to be a good trip back. And then on the other side, we've got a little bit of shed time for the boat, where we've sort of incorporate some of the changes we want to make, and then busy schedule in the autumn training around the Atlantic coast, and then ending up in the Mediterranean at the end of the year for the start in January. So.
Tell us a little bit about the conditions on board you'll experience when you're racing in the ocean race. There are big swings in temperatures from the equator to the Southern Ocean. Maybe you talk about your comfort in your kit a little bit. We are in the Musto store after all, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I can see lots of lovely new Musto kit behind you guys. No, it's actually sort of obviously been quite an interesting change for us going into the Annapolis, because as you see from Malama especially, is very, very covered up. We spend a lot of our time sailing inside. But so we're not quite getting as beat up by the waves as we have done in the past. But all the time, we really need to be ready to go out there and deal with anything outside if we need to. So sort of taking on and off layers is something that happens more than ever, really. So we're very lucky to have Musto as a sponsor and some good kit. Like you say, there's a massive range of temperature. Just on our last Transatlantic, we're up by Newfoundland in 3 degrees with everything we've got on, lots of layers, thermals, mid layers, jackets, spray tops, everything, even though we're sailing inside. And when we're down at the more tropical latitudes, it gets really, really hot in the boat. We shorts and t-shirt and doing everything to keep cool. And then you need to be getting our gear very quickly to get outside. So having good gear, having breathable gear is really important.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to look out into the audience here and see, does anybody here have a question for Simon?
A quick question from the physiological standpoint. What did you find was the most optimum watch schedule for a dual-handed race, dual-handed long-distance race? What worked best for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and it's something we're actually still experimenting with a bit. For the short-handed racing we were doing last year, we might, it was because there's only 2 of us, it ended up being much more informal, especially when we were racing for 2-3 days. It was very informal. We might do an hour and a half each and just keep swapping, or maybe as long as 3 if we're feeling good and we're going in a straight line. In the TJV, we tried to do 3 on, 3 off in that sort of stuff, where you kind of get a bit more in a rhythm, a bit more relaxed, and there's not sail changes coming up every 5 minutes. So, but now we're into fully crewed mode. I think for our longer legs, we're using 4 hours on, 4 hours off, just to try and get ourselves a bit more rested and a bit more free time. But the reality is, it's something we're still learning about. Traditionally, we always did 4 on, 4 off with the ocean race in the 65s and the Volvo 70s, but we're always sort of looking to learn, and we've tried 3 hours, we've tried 4 hours, and we might do something even different. We're actually working with a sleep company right now who's trying to help optimise our sleep, so hopefully in this next Transatlantic we might get some good data that can inform us how to best approach it.
As someone who does some longer races as well, what are you guys eating and drinking on the boat? Obviously, you've got a really advanced program, so I'm just curious, from a sort of a logistical basic standpoint, like what does that stuff look like?
Pretty much everything we eat on board is certainly all the meals are freeze-dried food. Obviously, one it's light, but also 2 it's very easy to make freeze-dried food. All we've really got to do is boil water and then tip the water in. So when you're busy racing, either fully crewed or short-handed, and it's difficult conditions on board, the freeze-dried food is kind of the way to go. But actually, we try and incorporate some other stuff. It's always nice to have things that feel a bit more natural and fresh. So we try and eat a lot of nuts. We always take a bit of on board as well. Actually, the freeze-dried food is very high carbohydrate, but very little fat. So we sort of look at ways of adding fat into the diet and also protein. And then obviously, certainly a healthy amount of coffee.
Yeah. So I have a question that kind of goes along with that question of eating and drinking on boat. Do you bring any creature comforts on board to make life a little bit easier for you?
Yeah, I guess the big creature comfort for me is my iPod, my iPhone these days, I guess. But yeah, the iPod, having some music and podcasts and stuff to listen to just when it's quiet, it's kind of my luxury item, and it's actually quite good as well sometimes to put something in your ear to drown out the noise of the boat a bit when you're trying to sleep. So that would definitely be my luxury.
Yeah. And when it comes to the ocean race, do you have a leg in particular that you're most looking forward to? And also, or maybe one that you're not as much looking forward to?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would really enjoy the first leg of the race. From one point, it's sort of really interesting because it's the first race of the leg. Especially now we're in a development class, it's like the first real opportunity to see how you're going against the other boats and learn a bit about your competitors, and then also it's also really fun the north-south legs traveling. You start off dealing with fronts and sort of mid-latitude weather, and then you go through the trade winds into the tropics, the equator, doldrums, and then sort of into the south. We've got a little pit stop in Cabo Verde in the first leg of the race this time, which will be a little bit different, which actually kind of narrows down some of the tactical options there. But yeah, it's always fun going north-south. Once you're across the doldrums, it's about getting into the trades and then picking up the first big front, sort of takes you down to the Southern Ocean and across the Cape Town. And seeing all that different weather as you go north-south is always really, really interesting. And then I guess, I wouldn't say I'm not looking forward to it, but probably the leg I'm most apprehensive about is the Southern Ocean leg. This race, we're doing all of the Southern Ocean in one go, so that's going to be 35 days, probably more or less on the boat, and most of those will be down in the south, in the cold, in the windy weather. So it's going to be tough leg, pretty relentless. I'm sure everyone's going to be pushing hard, so it's going to be a tough few weeks. But in some ways, it's quite nice to get it all done in one go. So it's definitely it's going to be a really important leg for the race because there's a lot of points on offer for that. It's going to be really important to sort of measure our pace, look after our boat, and get through it quickly, but all in one piece. So it's going to be very important and a massive challenge. So I guess Southern Ocean is the league I'm certainly most worried about at the moment.
Yeah. Well, Simon, thank you. You have a little cheering team here in Annapolis, Maryland. We'll be watching your progress and cheering you on. So thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And I hope it hasn't been too strange for our communication system here, but you seem to have answered all the questions well. So we really appreciate it. And come visit sometime when you're in Annapolis.
No problem. It's a pleasure to talk to you all. And I look forward to getting back to Annapolis soon. It's been a while, so I'll look forward to coming over there soon, hopefully. Thank you very much.
All right, cheers. Take care.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.